to 9 p.m. The issues. Don't just react. Understand.
It's another beautiful Saturday. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Buzz on Voice of the People Television. I am Jerry Opleon.
And I'm Fina Okechukwu.
And top on the radar this morning, Atiku, Obi, El-Rufai are sore losers, forming a coalition fueled by their discontent and hatred for Tinubu. And this is coming from the presidential aide talking about Bayo Onanuga.
Also, we'll be joining the world in drawing more attention to Down syndrome as the world, celebrates people with Down syndrome yesterday, being the 21st day in the month of March 2025. The theme for the Down syndrome 2025 is improve our support system. And with that, that's more like a clear call to everyone in the nation or in the world at large for them to support people with Down syndrome. It's not a disease. It's just an issue that has to do with genes, chromosomes and all that. But all the same, we'll have a professional. I'm talking about a medical doctor who will help us also to dissect this particular topic. And we also have someone who have 2 children with Down syndrome also share her own experiences. These are the major topic of conversation today. However, we also have other interesting trending stories, but before we proceed, we'll urge you to kindly click on the subscription button and subscribe on YouTube, where we're reaching you out from. We're at Voice of the People TV, and on all the social media platforms, be the X.com, the Facebook, the TikTok, the Instagram. We're at VOP TV Live. We also have a website, which is www.vop.ng. There you can get fresh and trending news stories. As Voice of the People TV, your opinion matters, and it also counts to us. We're here actually to make you have more than a voice. So we encourage you to call in. You can call us in. There's a number you see scrolling on your screen now. Do what to make
A budget proposal submission which did not succeed. Eventually, we saw what some have termed to be a democratic coup, or would you say a unconstitutional coup coming from those who read the Constitution. Some of them have become even confused with what is really in the Constitution and what the president says should be. And of course, the National Assembly rubber stamping it makes a whole interesting read, and allegations of so on and so forth. It looks like the battle between Wike and his godson is taking us to a very, very interesting stage. Fina,
some Nigerians, I think the FG, that's the federal government, reacting to all the people that have been calling out Wike, yes, on Wike, Minister of FCT saying that he has a hand in what happened in River State. They come up to say that Wike should be exonerated from all the happenings in Rivers. And one want to ask, what is really happening? Is it that they are not aware
of delusional
why should we exclude him from all that is happening in that state, But all the same, it's interesting to know that the Ijaw Youth Council, decided to go to ECOWAS to talk about how aggrieved they are over the declaration of
the state. Who is the chairman of ECOWAS?
Exactly.
Yes, the ECOWAS chairman is coincidentally the president who declared the state of emergency. So who's going to hear your case?
But Jerry, you talked about the rubber stamp nature of the 10th Assembly.
It has been on.
If you take it back to ECOWAS, I believe the people who will preside over this case might not really be easily, because yesterday there was a report according to a particular news outlet, the Gazette, People's Gazette, talked about how some people received $25,000 for them to be able to vote. Allegedly, yes, exactly. Yes. But we also know that during the plenary session on Thursday, I think it was only 113 lawmakers were there.
Are you talking about
So how are they able to get the quorum?
Are you talking about the same ECOWAS, for instance, where 3 of the major countries that form ECOWAS have already left ECOWAS?
Sahel.
And this same ECOWAS where talking about President Tinubu was giving threat to the Niger Republic that they should return to democracy, and they vehemently refused. Is it the same ECOWAS you want to take just a state government that has been, where the government has been suspended? I think I laugh. It looks like we are under a democratic authoritarian rule again. We are in a situation, this is draconian to us. There are a lot of people who understand what should be, but reality does no longer speak as far as Nigeria is concerned.
If you ask me, I will join those that say it's more like a democratic coup d'etat.
Yeah.
That is a way just to explain it. But let's see how this plays out. Let's see what happened. Let's see if ECOWAS is really going to do something about it. Because I can't see the reason whereby, someone will tell me, for example, that River State also, happened to be in a state of anarchy, total disorder and breakdown of rule of law and all that. And that was one of the reasons that the president have the right to say we have to place an emergency on this particular place or region or state in Nigeria, because if there's no breakdown of law and order in a state, I don't see the reason to wake up to say we are suspending the governor and the deputy governor and members of the State House of Assembly and then impose a sole administrator on them. Recall that they even withheld their funds, FAC allocation. But now with the sole administrator, the funds have been released to the people. And my question every day is this. Why is it that the northern part of this country, where we know that people have come up to make or issue out threats and warning to Nigerians, people are waiting arms, moving everywhere with arms and ammunition, unscrupulous elements, if I'm to use that word. We have a Torje Bailu making sure that life of the people in the north, is not that palatable.
You're taking it fast. As last
people
week,
are dying in droves there.
As of last week, the bandits have started making negotiations with some very notable local governments that they have been levied.
Imagine.
That is already a captured state. Because where bandits are now levying the people for them to have a level of peace. Why has the president not declared state of emergency
there
in those states? So
exactly.
It shows that it's only where the government is benefiting from, because we all know what is involved in the allocation in River State. We're talking about resource control. Let's not forget, you get about 3 or 13% out of whatever comes out of rivers. And we're talking about the state allocation. A lot of money is involved here. Election 2027 is around the corner. They need to start gathering a war chest.
I'm happy you made mention of election 2027 now. Jerry, you recall what happened in River State, where some Nigerians were of the opinion that their hopes were dashed. I'm sorry to use that word on air on national television. We could recall that the likes of Nyesom Wike and Fubara then, they said they know what they did for during the 2023 election. And we know how it turned out. We know what pans out there. Now, you're not saying that. Are you joining? I want to ask you, let me put you on the spot now. Are you kind of joining the school of thought that say that it is what this person really worked for? That's what he's enjoying, more like he's reaping the fruit of his labor.
Who's reaping the fruit of his labor?
Fubara seemed like Fubara himself, because it was more like both of them teamed up to reap the reverends. What they really, what happened to be their benefit, the result for that 2023 election. Some persons that say that was not what they voted, the people they voted for, or the person they voted for, or the person that all of them come out to support was not really whom emerges the winner in that state.
Yeah, River State.
And some people were mum about it.
Since Wike became the governor of River State, it is not what you see that is actually reality, And election in River State, definitely the people of Rivers have come to accept whatever comes out of it. And I think they've gotten past the situation where whenever the election result comes in, they know that they will have to just accept whatever is available, whether definitely is not really what the people choose. In the case of Fubra, I think the calculation was that the Jones have not been taking the governorship position, and being that they live in the riverine areas where the resources, talking about the oil, is coming from.
Yeah.
And it's been unfortunate they've never had somebody from the Ijaw nation being the governor. And now they see Fubra and decide to accept him. Talking about the Ijaw people. We are not even talking about the Ijaws in rivers. We're talking about the ones in Bayelsa, Delta State. And of course, Ijaw is quite a large nation. And now they have a governor from that district. And they feel this is our son. No matter how Wike also had the election, which was frivolous, and questions being asked that brought him there. Same thing goes with Amechi and other past governors. So why should their son be any different? So now he's there. He should be able to take control of the state and decide what he wants to do. But it is what it is. he's the product of that situation, and he believes whatever it is, hook or crook, he should be able to benefit just like Wiki also did during his time.
No one cares about
nobody cares how he came.
How he came, but all happened is that
That's
a particular person or a particular nation is
the society we live in. It's quite really absurd.
Interestingly, that's a good one anyway. But anyway, away from that story, there's a viral video, making its ways on social media. In this particular video depicts Honorable Ibukunle Idowu, the lawmaker for Yagba West local government area in Kogi State House of Assembly, where he was seen handing out motorcycle tires to his constituents. As a minority leader, Idowu was filmed in a bustling setting, in a bustling setting where he was busy distributing tires as a means of empowerment and support to the people that he represents. However, the widely circulated video has attracted criticism from Nigerians who contend that this gesture fails to meet the essential needs of the community. It is not 2 tires per individual. We're looking at 1 tire, motorcycle tire to a person. And there's a question that Chukuma Okoro asked the other day during the TM. Is it that when I give you 1 tire, you will use the other one, and how do you now get the second one that will make your motorcycle to be sound and all that? What about those that don't have motorcycle?
You sell to those who have.
Okay, you sell to those who have.
Use the money to eat.
Is this really empowerment?
Yeah, this is. Would I say this looks like when the people are taken for granted, and poverty has been a weapon of politicians, and the fact that most of the people receiving this motorcycle tires, I don't know what will be going through their mind, whether they are not aware of how it looks like an insult to their intelligence, coming from a representative believing that is empowering us by giving us motorcycle tires. Maybe that is what they demanded for. One
tire each. No, not 2 tires now, more like I'm giving you this.
Who will now complain? Because you could see some other elderly people who supposedly are a little bit educated, should be able to tell what is right and what is wrong. And maybe he has looked at his community and look at that man is scrambling to jump the line, meaning that is what is really important to him right now. And for the man, I think even videoing this and documenting it, it shows that these people don't even. We've seen wheelbarrows being distributed. We've seen mortar pestle being.
Hoe and machete.
Yes, hoe and machete distributed to constituents as empowerment.
Even goats.
Yeah, goats. I think even goats is even better. At least rearing of goat these days, and of course going to the market to sell, you can at least make returns.
Can't you kill the goat and eat? Since some people are going to bed empty hunger now.
I think goat farming is a lucrative business. Okay. At least that is still better. I think I would prefer giving them animals to rear and maybe going into goat farming and so on and so forth. But it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad that in Nigeria in 2025, motorcycle tires are being given to above 18 people, talking about adults, as a form of empowerment. Are you taking them backward? Are you insulting your people? Are you keeping them at a level where they will continue to be motorcycle riders? It's pretty sad. Have you been paying WAEC fees or NECO fees for the children of this constituents? That would make a whole lot of sense to me.
Like giving them free education or something like that.
Yeah.
Find a way to empower them.
Make a whole lot of sense. Sometimes even the representatives are not even knowledgeable enough. You find that some of them are, with all due respect, some of them don't have any knowledge or any idea. You just find them just being there by accident, not even qualified intellectually or mentally to be able to make decisions.
No, the painful part of it is that
the fortunes of their people.
Such a person is going to come back again to say, I need your vote. You need to vote me in so that next year, maybe
this man cannot communicate in pure English.
Right?
Yeah, you might be surprised that maybe he's just a school holder and he's quite exposure believes that motorcycle is the way to empower his people.
So not the motorcycle, tire, add the tire, not
tire.
One single tire, because emphasis on the 1 tire, so that I will go home and then tell my late grandma to please help me, give me money from the grave so that I'll be able to augment and buy another tire if that should be the case. Because I can't see the reason you want to empower me and empower me with 1 tire
That's
one
you.
single tire.
That is you. You know, you are the product of where you're coming from. Look at the society is coming from. Is it what is really actually the problem? With what he intellectually feels that is a solution, and the people will appreciate it. Look at the man was even prostrated and showing appreciation, like his life depends on it.
Nigeria is a great nation. Some people have said that we have wonderful laws. The constitution is also good and beautiful. But the only thing we have as a challenge is implementation. Implementing the policies, making sure that we stick to the what or whatever thing is it that the constitution asks us to do is what we have our own challenge. For me, I guess election is around the corner, and the only thing I can tell the people of Nigeria is to wake up. It's high time we wake up and demand what we think we need. It's not about ranting. I'm sorry to say, it's not about ranting. It's about getting your voter's card, getting registered to a particular political party, because it all begins from there. During the primaries, if you're not a party member, you cannot be able to bring someone who is sound enough to represent your interest. So when you join a political party and then you have a voter's card, then that is only when your voice will begin to be heard. Because if you sit down at the comfort of your home and say it's none of your business, my dear, it is your business, it is my business, because you don't have a market separate or different from where I, Fina, shops from. You don't have a different society entirely. We have same society, one nation, one great nation, Nigeria. One naira is what we use. One everything is what we preach in this country. So if I were you, this is high time for you to become a person politician. And then we'll have to go over, to take a quick look on the cover page of the national dailies. But before we do that, we want you to know that we have with us in the studio already. We have Mr. Peter Anosike. He is a writer and also his VOP, that's Voice of the People Television in-house analyst. So him, and then from our Benin studios have Comrade God's Power Okumbo, who is a coordinator initiative for Youth and People's Freedom Organization and also Secretary General of Edo Civil Society Organization. These gentlemen will help us, analyze the cover page of the national dailies and also analyze the first topic of our conversation today. So we'll kickstart after this quick break. Do want to stay with us. Thank you so much for being part of the Morning Buzz on VOP TV. And before us today, we have the Saturday Tribune, the Blueprint, and also the Saturday Independent, Saturday Telegraph, the Guardian, Saturday Sun, the Weekend Trust, and a whole lot more of the national dailies on our decks today. And then I would like to start off from the cover page of the Guardian newspaper. That's the Guardian Weekend. The window headlines are LEDU, resilient path towards sustainable growth in $1 trillion economy. Assessing El-Rufai's revisionist politics and Tinubu's re-election chances in 2027. And the banner headline reads, Outpost of Research Outlet worries over huge investment in lean harvest. There's a cartoon to that event to have other things being pointed out there, IAR and even the LCRI and, someone that's also walking away. And beneath that pictorial, this discordant tunes in rivers as residents await administrators' plan to restore peace. Kanu apologizes to court as trial resumes, pleads not guilty to fresh charges. Behold, Nigeria's first LGP, I beg your pardon, I'll take that again. Behold, Nigeria's first LPG extraction plant, gas to power project. And the bottom strip reads, 1 feared dead, 30 injured, as Oshun communities renew hostility.
All right, going to the Saturday Punch, definitely really, really big there. The big story has to be APC opposition continue battle as PDP governors head for court. On the rider, we can't watch democracy trampled upon, says Makinde, while sole administrator receives withheld LG funds, orders salary payments. And of course, going to the top of the page, talking about naira for crude crisis, and petrol imports rise to 154 million liters weekly. Very interesting. Of course, following up with that, PDP crisis deepens as Supreme Court reinstates Ayahu as secretary. Very interesting. Of course, most especially for those who love of sports, Osimhen was on fire last night. A record-setting brace revives Eagles World Cup hopes. And very interestingly, going over under the talking about the headline, the major headline, we have matrimonial battle. How UK-based Nigerian women exploit law to chase out husbands. And the writer to that says, my wife connived with pastor to jail me. And this is coming from a Nigerian man. Pretty sad. Okay. And of course, under the punch on the left, we have my abductors revealed planned attack on Ondo communities. And this is coming from the Afenifere youth president who just left the kidnappers den some weeks ago. And of course, after that, there's a travelers stranded after Heathrow Airport power outage. And still taking more headlines. School where 4-year-old daughter lost left eye ordered my husband's arrest. And this is coming from a trade, and of course, under its own, he plotting my downfall after I helped him become king. And this is coming from Oluo. Very interesting.
Saturday Independent is the next one that we'll be talking about. And then the banner headlines there reads, Landmark Achievers, Hail Independent Award 2024. Initiative will inspire us to do more. Remi Tinubu. We will ensure Kogi maintain position as nation's food basket. Governor Jojo. Platform can reshape economy, change narratives, Body George. It will help me to improve, accomplish my dream. That's coming from KK. Then the window headlines are how sexual harassment, intimidation undermine women's participation in politics. I am not guilty of terrorism accusation, Nnamdi Kanu tells court. Rider to that story apologizes over misconduct. Exhort to launch West Africa's first 35.2 billion naira API production facility aims to reduce import reliance. World Cup 2026 qualifier, Super Eagles cross first of 6 hurdles. 1 year on, mining marshal cracks down on illegal miners, recovers 98 sites. That's coming from Alake. Riverso administrator directs payment of outstanding LG staff salaries. The bottom strip headline reads, NAFDAC burns fake counterfeit drugs worth trillions of naira. And there's another tiny headline there. Nollywood filmmakers remains biggest risk takers. That's coming from Eniola Ajao.
All right. Let's now take you to the Saturday Tribune, where on the major headline there, PDP affirms Ude Okoye as National Secretary, says Supreme Court. That's in contrast to what we read in the Punch. And it says, the writer there, Apex Court says party's decision is supreme. And of course, the top of the Saturday Tribune, Makinde Fort Rivers emergency rule. And a follow-up to that, disquiet in APC over Ganduje order NWC, talking about the National Working Committee members' tenure. The rider to that, first-term governors kick against the plan. Party More's automatic ticket for defecting lawmakers. And of course, under the headline this time, Oni asked Nigerians to ignore Oluo. The rider to that, God used me to install him, but he's looking for my downfall. And that's Oluo. And of course, follow up to that, Rivers voters reject emergency rule. Sue Tinubu Senate President orders. Of course, under that, Ramadan Karim, parent order, stakeholders lament continue on the closure. And of course, in addition to that, Adeleke imposes fresh curfew on Warri Ifon, Ilobu communities. And rather to that, summons traditional rulers.
And that's how far we can go, taking this quick peep. But we need to get the opinion of the guests that we have in the studio. And also, I told us before that quick breakdown, we've been joined by Mr. Peter Anosike, who is a prolific writer and also VOPTV in-house analyst. And then from our Benin studios, we'll be joined by Comrade Godspower Okumbo, who is the Secretary General, Edo Civil Society Organization. Good morning, Mr. Peter Anosike.
Having me.
Good to have you in today's Morning Boss.
Yeah.
You've had us reel out some of the national dailies, the stories that made it to the cool page of the national dailies. So we want you to, pick a one and react to it.
Well, I will start with the APC Ganduje the square in APC. Some people are thinking that El-Rufai's defection will not have any impact. But the truth is that El-Rufai is an astute politician. He is a founding member of APC, and he has been in politics actively for the past 26 years. And he has a lot of people in APC, and a defection is not what you just wake up overnight and do. So I know that he's going to cause a lot of trouble for the party, and many of them are going to join him wherever he is going to.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Peter, for that submission. Now, Comrade Godspower, let's get you react to any of the national dailies.
Thank you very much. You see, what really I'm happy about is that the people are waking up in the Tribune. We are seeing where Rivers voters have rejected emergency rule in Rivers State, and has further went on to sue the president, Senate president, and what have you, which is the very right step to take. I want the federal government to really dwell on that section 305, which they are holding on to declaring state of emergency in Rivers State. It's very important. Nigerians are watching. There are facts, section 305, subsection 3, A, B, C to G. You get reasons why a state of emergency can be declared in any part of the federation. And we are wondering how did the president or federal government arrive at the decision when that section or subsection of the constitution has not been critically looked into. So it's a right step for Rivers people. We are actually behind them. We support that move in suing the federal government. All we want is that the court, they shouldn't look at who is involved. Justice, things must be done the way it had to be done. So I think that is my take on that one. It's a very welcome development for the people of Rivers State voters to have took that decision.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Comrade Godspower.
All right, when we'll come back, we'll be looking at the big story where Atiku, El-Rufai, and Tanko have come together to establish a coalition in order to challenge Tinubu in the 2027 elections. The details of these after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, where we'll go straight to the big story where Bayo Onanuga, Special Advisor on Information and Strategy to President Bola Tinubu, has dismissed the newly forming political coalition, led by opposition figures, living in it as a gathering of disgruntled and sore losers who are frustrated by the defeat in the 2023 elections. In the post on his X page, Onanuga criticized the coalition, which includes former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Kaduna State Governor El-Rufai, Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi, and others. Onanuga accused them of putting their personal ambitions ahead of the nation's progress. He emphasized the Tinubu's achievement, noting that significant progress has been made in addressing Nigeria's challenges just 2 months into the administration's mid-term. Right now we still have Mr. Peter Nasike, voice of the people analyst, and of course he's a decorated writer, and still with us from our Benin Studios is Comrade God's Power Okumbo. Is a coordinator, Initiative for Youth and People's Freedom Organization. Also have the Secretary General. He's also the Secretary General of those civil society organizations. All right, let me go back to Mr. Nasike. Bayo Onanuga again. In the whole of this, should he take him seriously? Because definitely he's a member of the ruling party. We expect him to say nothing different.
Well, in 2014, when APC was being formed, Jonathan and members of his cabinet didn't take them serious. They did not take them serious, even.
All right, let's bring in Comrade Gaspar Okumbo into this conversation. Before now, Comrade, some APC stalwarts made it look like they don't care. When Nasir El-Rufai left APC for SDP, they were like, it's none of their business, he's not going to do anything and all that. But as the case may be, we're getting information now from the likes of Bayo Onanuga that the people that are forming this coalition, or who are in talk to form a coalition against the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu come 2027 election, that they are losers, they are frustrated, and they are also haters of this present president. Now, what do you think will come up what do you think will happen if finally they pull through with this coalition? And in your own word, personally, who do you think these people should project for that particular agenda or aim they have to outseat the president in 2027?
All right. For me, I am not a politician, and if you ask me, there is nobody there to even support, to be sincere, because you will find out that all of them have the same background, from Obi, Atiku, El-Rufai. It will be that the Nigerians were open on. Many Nigerians is even disappointed now seeing him with some of these person, but everywhere they are human beings, so to say. And their background in politics has not, there's no difference.
What do you mean disappointed?
Yes, because they saw him different from Atiku and El-Rufai with the kind of politics he was portraying to the people. At least,
but you need the alliance, because him alone, they could not do it in 2023. Don't you think gathering alliance is the best option?
Labour Party, or he is a member of Labour Party,
okay,
and the people were with him. Now, one of the reasons why Nigerians are fed up, because we have had PDP and APC running this country for over the years, and we have not seen changes. So many people were like, okay, let's try this party, and this is a new person. Now, coming to align with these people, many Nigerians, we fed up. I think they withdrew. So to me, I have not seen anybody amongst all of them. What happened to the issue of not too young to lead and what have you to run? What happened to Nigeria youth? We have person, we have people installed, we sure can do this thing better. So talking about
let's not forget, not too young to rule. We have a simple example in Kogi State. Yeah, Bello. How did it end? Not too young to rule. Because we need to be very careful. We're talking about the position of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A lot of dynamics are to be considered, because we have religious lines to consider, we have political lines to consider, we have ethnic lines to consider.
Financial muscle.
Financial muscle is also involved. You don't just pick somebody anywhere and say that because he's young, he should rule. But what clout does he have to become president?
I am aware of how people supported. So I don't think he has any excuse, whether financial or whatever alliance he wants to. But the only thing I've seen, these people, they are politicians. The way he was talking some years ago, you never believe they will want to come down to these people and run things. And so I know they are politicians. He's even going to do more. He's going to do after his alliance. And I'm not sure that whatever thing they are planning is going to work to unseat the president 2027. That is me.
Why do you say so?
I'm not sure.
Why do you say so?
Are you speaking like a disgruntled obedient who is no longer obedient and feels that he's not the man and he feels he needs someone else?
Yes, I told you I'm not a politician.
Okay, now
As a civil rights practitioner, I'm doing everything possible to be at the balance.
Okay.
You know, and as a Nigeria itself, I do cast my vote. I go out. I do the thing as I want to do it. Then we are seeing what is happening.
Comrade, I'm happy you say that you're not a politician. Now let's bring it down again to Nigeria. I'm happy you're not a politician.
Every human being is a
No,
politician.
Mr. Peter,
Every human being is a politician.
He is not
Every civil rights activist is a politician.
Mr. Peter, he is not a politician.
Because you have interest.
He doesn't participate in partisan politics. I guess that's what he's
Well, philosophers believe that every human is a political animal.
Every
because it's a
human
game
being
of
is a
interest.
politician.
Yeah, we know.
Yes.
But now he said he's not a politician.
If he's
That's
talking
his
about-
opinion.
I'm
He's talking
not
about
an
partisan
LG,
politics. It doesn't belong
civil
to
rights
anyone.
practitioner.
So now, from your own point of view, let's take a look at this present administration, the policies, and how Nigerians are as of this point in time. Recall that before APC came to take over power from PDP, yes, Nigerians were clamoring for change, but we know what the price of commodities, essential commodities are. Now, at this point in time that we have a change, we have the change and now renewed hope agenda and all that. Can you now still beat your heart in the chest, your hands on your chest and say that we should continue with what we're having at this point in time? If you say nobody can, you know, take out the president or rather unseat the president in 2027. With the whole happenings, the policies, the insecurity, the cost of living, many Nigerians moving into abject poverty, and a whole lot. What do you really have to say with all these happenings?
We honestly want a new administration to take over. Why I said that nobody can unseat him, it's not as if these persons they can win election. But what I mean, the change we desire might not come from these persons. That's just my direction. The present administration have put Nigeria in a state of frustration. It's a terrible state to say. You know? So all the policies, things that has happened between the last year and now has not really go down well with Nigeria. Nobody anywhere. I know there's the kind of agitation we have for a better change. This is not the change that we all want. But what I mean to say, you remember this is politics, and in Nigeria, it has never happened so easy that a president or a governor will not do 8 years. It has never been easy.
Jonathan never did 8 years.
So if they say they want to unseat him, we'll be looking at, although the alliance, the coalition they are trying to create, will make attempt. But I am confidently saying that with the president and his arrangement, his plan, it might not be easy for them. And if eventually they succeeded, that does not mean we are going to have a better Nigeria. From what I have seen so far,
thank you so much.
I'm not sure.
Thank you so much, comrade. Now, let's bring it back to the studio where we have Mr. Peter Anosike. Peter Gregory Obi, your namesake, told Nigerians that he is not interested in going into any coalition or merger that his sole agenda is to grab power. That all he's after is to make sure that Nigerians enjoy the fruit and dividends of democracy. He was so explicit when he was saying that. Now, do you think that him moving on with this people that will just, you know, although he hasn't come up to say, I am going to form this coalition with them some persons are saying that he is going to be there. And the people that we know that are already talking about the coalition is Atiku Abubakar, El-Rufai and Tanko, and even Babachir Lawal and all that. Now, do you think that he is going to, move towards these individuals for his voice to be heard, given the fact that Nigerians, as the case may be, we've not started practicing individual, we don't have individual participants or participation during the election, but everything must go for a political party representation?
The problem with Nigeria is that, one, we don't know history. We are not depth, we're not content. About 9 years ago, can anybody believe that Tinubu and Buhari will work together? Tinubu fought the military. Tinubu was in Nadeku. But to get what they want, they have to team up. That's Tinubu and Buhari. So there's no way in the United States, Kennedy, who is now the Secretary of Health, and Donald Trump have to form a merger. So Nigerians don't know history. They lack content. So there's no way P2B can do it all alone. Success is about teamwork. Nobody succeeds alone. The only reason why APC was able to take out PDP was because of a coalition. That's CPC, AMPP, that's ACN, a faction of APGA, led by Rochas Okorocha, has to collapse into APC. Has to collapse into APC for PDP to be taken out. Therefore, APC to be taken out, the same thing must happen. There must be a coalition. There must be a coalition. Peter Obi said that his interest would not be just to restore power, because what APC came out, APC agenda was one in 2015. Their agenda was PDP has ruled for 16 years, we must rule for 16 years. So APC did not come to govern this country. Their own is that they must rule for 16 years because PDP has ruled for 16 years. So Buhari, who is a leftist, and Tinubu has to come together. So for me, I don't see anything wrong with P2B, Atiku, Kwankwaso coming together for the interest of the country.
You're talking about a compromise.
I don't see anything wrong.
Okay.
I've given you two instances. Tinubu and Buhari, nobody can, even in his wildest imagination, would agree that both of them can sit together and form a party.
Some people are already saying the opposition is already failing their duties. The way they handled the emergency votes in the National Assembly, they expected that Peter Obi and Atiku would have spoken to their various lawmakers in their various parties to go against the emergency rule. They failed in that while they went on social media and were bickering instead of doing the politicking. So can we count on them to be worthy oppositions in rallying their party members?
Do you have the full story of what happened in the Senate and in the National?
It was a closed-door session at the upper chamber. While the lower chamber, it was an open session. We all saw the EA have it, and the rest is
the voice.
Do you know
a voice vote?
Do you know that people walked out of the Senate?
Well, that's not what the story told us. That's not what those. What about the opposition? Those who opposed. What story did we get from them? We only heard from Siraki Dixon. That means a lot of other people would have maybe allegedly collected their share and decided to walk out and allow the
issue is this: there's nowhere such an important discussion should have been gone with a voice vote.
Okay.
Understand me? Even with a deep fake, you can get a voice vote, only you in a room. Understand me? So we know that it is a very unpopular decision. Money was paid to those in the House of Reps. Understand? And they refused to use the head count, which should have shown how many people that were there. Quorum was never formed.
Then how come again is it that the president have his way and the National Assembly also gave their support for the state of emergency up until today to still
how did they give support?
Because
if
if you say that, you know, the two-thirds was not met, and we know that that's what the Constitution required, that there must be a two-thirds before the state of emergency and every other higher or bigger decisions will be taken in the National Assembly, then why is it that that state of emergency declaration still holds its way in River State? Why is it that no one is thinking about it?
Because we are not running a democracy.
And you don't think that this is going to play itself again in the 2027 election, since you say we're not running a democracy?
No, I'm telling you, that's what is called a too big to rig. I keep on saying it.
Now, will you say that the 2023 election was a free, fair election? Was it done democratically?
That's the worst election in the history of electioneering in the country.
You're talking about too big to rig.
That's when Kwankwaso, Atiku, P2B come together, it will be too big. Even if Tinubu is an annex chairman, she cannot rig it. Democrats will have rigged the Donald Trump election in 2024. But it was too big for them to rig. Election is easy to rig when it's 5 million, 5.5 million, 6 million. Manipulation becomes easy. But when it's 15 million, that to 5 million, you cannot. So that's why this coalition must come together. P2B will deliver Southeast anytime, any day. P2B will be competitive in the South anytime, any day. Atiku and Kwankwaso bringing North, the election is over.
Now, Mr. Peter, if you like from what you just dropped on the table now, saying that there's what is called too big to rig.
Yes.
We have heard also from some political elites that the present administration is doing whatever thing it could to make sure that every other opposition party in this country is disintegrated, or they're having party wrangling. And then with that, some persons also are pointing fingers to this particular defection of El-Rufai from APC to SDP, saying that maybe he was planted dead because it wasn't up to 48 hours that he declared interest in moving to SDP, and then we saw people carrying placards talking about rejigging and reshuffling of the National Working Committee and all that. Now, do you really think in all sincerity that there's a coalition for the interests of Nigerians?
There's no coalition now, but there will be towards the end of 2025.
APC did not wait up until the time of the election for them to form a measure.
APC came 2013-2014. APC came 2013-2014. By 2023, by 2013, now discussions were ongoing. And the PDP we are monitoring, but PDP never took them serious. Understand? So, all of them have been together. El-Rufai understood how APC was formed. Atiku was, even it was the new PDP that gave them victory. It was the new PDP when Atiku, Rotimi Amechi, Saraki, Kwankwaso left the PDP. That's the only reason why they won. Because the election was sponsored by Rotimi Amechi, the governor of River State at that point in time.
All right, very interesting. Of course, we'll wait for the coalition, which you have already told me that September is the time. And of course, a good philosopher, Mr. Anosky, I always look forward to his predictions. Of course, it's great having you discuss this coalition. And of course, we hope to see you in September eventually. What happens when the coalition is formed.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen. Due to want of time, we have to say, thank you so much once again for being part of today's Morning Buzz.
Yeah,
we'll be speaking with, Comrade Gospower Okunbo, who is a coordinator initiative for Youth and People's Freedom Organization, Secretary General Edo State Civil Society Organization, and Mr. Peter Anosike, whom I told us is a writer and is also VOPTV in-house analyst. Would have loved to continue this conversation, but we have, other ones that want to look at too. Yesterday was World Down Syndrome Day, and then today we need to dissect that proper. Thank you for being part of today's show.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dissect the World as a whole lot of call is being going on as the people who are taking care of those with Down syndrome and even those that have Down syndrome are calling the world to come together to give them their support. We'll talk about this after this quick break.
It's Ramadan. It's the season of sharing and caring. As Muslim faithfuls all over the world pray and fast, may peace reign all over, especially in troubled regions. Allah's blessing to us all. May the supplication of every sincere heart be heard. Ramadan Kareem, from all of us at Voice of the People Television.
From the views on the street
we go to bed empty hunger
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lawn.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things and makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
March 21st, 2025 marks World Down Syndrome Day, a global celebration of the lives and contributions of people with Down syndrome, with the theme, Improve Our Support System.
Improve our support system.
Down Syndrome International is calling on all governments, self-advocates, and other experts to speak up about support systems and everything that needs to be improved for persons with Down syndrome. Today, we are honored to share the stories, lessons, and triumphs of individuals with Down syndrome.
Hello, my name is Oloma Ojo Beth. I am beautiful. I am living with Down syndrome. People think I cannot do anything, but I can. I'm learning how to make hair. I can help mommy in the kitchen.
There is so much to be learned from people with Down syndrome and some insights into their reality.
When you're working with children living with Down syndrome, perfection is not what we look out for. It's like a little drop of water that we keep pouring every day. Consistency is the key. And so when you also look at them every day, you should be able to see within their eyes, they have love, they are very kind, they are warm, they love hugs. One of the ways you can help them is that when you are working with them, you must be patient, you must be deliberate, and you must focus on their strengths.
It's not the fault of the mother or the father of any family member that has Down syndrome. Down syndrome is practically just an extra chromosome. Basically, we have 46, they have 47. So it's just an extra one that's causing all these delays, the disabilities. So Down syndrome is not a disease.
As we celebrate World Down Syndrome Day with the beautiful people of More Rainbow Down Syndrome Foundation, Lagos, we are reminded of the importance of inclusion, acceptance, and empowerment. Let us continue to learn from and celebrate the lives of people with Down syndrome. Adefunke Jayesimi, VOP TV.
That's a wonderful report packaged by Jayesimi. A different care. And then it's about the World Down Syndrome Day celebration. Like we told you before that break, that was just yesterday. And the theme for the World Down Syndrome Day 2025 emphasizes the importance of support. Everyone occasionally needs assistance, and the type of support required varies from person to person. This is equally true for individuals with Down syndrome. Receiving the appropriate support at the right moment can unlock opportunities for people with Down syndrome, empowering them to lead fulfilling lives with choices, control, and dignity. Families also require support to effectively care for, and also advocate for their loved ones who are with this Down syndrome. As Nigerians join the global community to celebrate World Down Syndrome Day, we are focusing on the vital impact of social work, social services, and charitable effort in fostering inclusion. And then to help make sense of this, we have a lady whose story is quite a touching one with us in the studio. We have Miss Chidima Chukwu, who is a mother to two special needs children. All right, and we'll be joined though virtually by a medical professional, Dr. Bright E. Onyovokuko. He will help us to tell us what is really happening, how does this Down syndrome come to be, what is it a disease, how can it be prevented, and a whole lot more. Good morning, Ms. Chidima Chukwu. Good to have you in today's show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Bright E. Onyovokuko. All right, we'll let you know when Dr. Bright joined the conversation. Now, it's interesting that the world joined, the world at large celebrated the people with Down syndrome yesterday. And also, I believe that celebration also will go a long way to people who are taking care of them, And how do you feel as a mother having two Down syndrome kids with you? What does it really feel like?
I don't really have any special feelings for like having children with special need. It's just the normal feeling with every other child, just that my own come with extra care.
Okay, extra care. Now, when you talk about extra care, what does that really portend? What does that mean?
Children with special need, generally, they can't do anything, most things by themselves. Like my own case, for example, my child, his own special need is actually on a very severe one. He's 6 years old, he can't talk, he can't walk, he can't feed by himself, he's not in school yet. So that means he's dependent on me. I have to care for him. I don't know how long it's going to take, but for now he's dependent on me. Even my adopted, the same. So
what encouraged you to go to adopt another child with Down syndrome when you already have one?
Okay, it wasn't my intention to adopt him.
Okay.
It was because of the country we are. It was actually a child that was abandoned on the streets, and he was there for about 4 days. Nobody came for him, and I felt so pity because I have one at home, and I know that they need extra care. Without helping, the boy would just die like that. So I just felt pity for him, and I know he needed a motherly love. So that's why I carried him.
Let's have a good handshake. Thank you very much for doing that.
Why encouraging us, talking about the story of the Good Samaritan, you take it a step further. But taking a look at the challenges financially, taking care of a Down syndrome kid, one, and now adding another two. What do you do for a living, first of all, and how do you cope with the financial challenges?
It's not easy. I'm actually not working. Though I was doing business before, but because of my son, I have to stop because, like I said, everything about him is all about me. I have to take care of him 24 hours. So for now, I'm not working. I'm always at home. But I'm not a lazy person, so sometimes I do online business. I do adverts for people. So that's how I take care of my case.
All right, now, when we talk about Down syndrome, some persons will kind of, misunderstand the whole things. I had someone asked me a question yesterday while I was like, thank God, what to support people with Down syndrome. And the person asked me, what does this Down syndrome stand for? What is it all about? And then it's a good thing that we have a doctor in the house, Dr. Bright Onyovokuko. He will help us out to, walk through this. Good morning, Dr. Bright Onyovokuko.
Good morning, Fina and listeners there.
Good to have you in today's show. This is not politics. We have to talk health today. Now, Dr. Bright, help us out, because some persons don't really understand what Down syndrome is all about. Some will say something about chromosome 21 and all that. Can you help us explain it in a layman's language, the way someone on the street will be able to understand what we're talking about today? Because someone yesterday was kind of trying to tell me that it has something to do with cerebral palsy and autism and all that. And I was trying to explain that, no, it's not that way, but this person don't want to hear me out. So can you just help us walk through what Down syndrome is all about?
Let's try to break it down. For every human being, when the male and the female, the kind of mate and the cells meet, the cells come together. Now, for each cell, there is the basic unit of it, which is the gene, and the gene has 46 chromosomes for each human being. Let me use this, my bead to, let's assume this is 23 from the father, 23 from the mother. So you have 2 together forming 46 for that individual. And each of them has a number 1, number 2, number 3. So from the father, you have number 1. From the mother, you have number 1. It makes up that pair till you get to that 23. Now, at number 21 of the chromosome, it is like duplicated. So when it becomes duplicated, it means one is having 24, while the other one is having 23. That now make it 47. And this is what the children with Down syndrome actually has. So that first of all let us know that it is not something that maybe happens while the person was growing up or whatever. It is at the point where those cells are dividing. At the point where those cells are divided, that was where that, though we use the term mutation, but there was an extra gene, extra chromosome, and that made it 47. So that 47, other persons that don't have Down syndrome, they have 46. While those that have Down syndrome have 47. And when we say syndrome, it's like a combination of things together. So because of that extra chromosome, it affects the brain development, it affects the body development. So you see that children with Down syndrome, they don't develop at the rate at which others are actually developing. The brain will not develop at the rate at which others are developing. The body structure will not develop at the rate at which others are developing. And again, they may also have some other condition, maybe like heart issues and so many other things. So that's what actually makes it a syndrome. So it is not the making of the father, nor is the making of the mother, or maybe there's something you need to do at that point to kind of take it up. That's why we cannot even say this is the cause of Down syndrome. But however, we could say, okay, risk factors could be there. Yes, the age of the mother could be a risk factor. But again, when we put like 35 mothers who have children after the age of 35 as a risk factor, but we still have mothers who have children after 40, after 45, they don't have Down syndrome. While we also have some who give birth at less than 35 years, maybe even at 25 or 21 or thereabout, they still have children that come up with Down syndrome. So one cannot actually pinpoint to say, okay, this is what is responsible to pin the age as a major contributory factor to it. And of course, maybe there could be a family, also family history. Maybe there is history of somebody who has Down syndrome in the family, could also be a risk factor that could have contributed. And since we are there is all the audience we are talking to, they need to also understand that when we say risk factor, it does not mean that everybody who has that risk factor would definitely come down with maybe Down syndrome or whatever. So if there's a family history, does not mean that every children from that family will definitely have Down syndrome, but it's just to say, okay, maybe there's a possibility that it can actually happen. Of course, the age of the mother, yes, there's a possibility that it can actually happen. And of course, when it happens, there is nothing you can do to kind of change it. You can't go adjust the chromosome again, but the best you can then do is to understand the baby and see to how you can actually care for the baby. I actually appreciate the mother in the studio who is doing all that she can to ensure that she takes care of her baby, and actually amazing to see that her adopted child is also with Down syndrome, which now makes it kind of two. So it's for you to actually understand, individualize these children, and as they are developing, you begin to understand one, maybe probably one defect or the other that is there, and that is the gap that you will need to close, because all Down syndrome children, they don't come up with the same disability or maybe a defect. So it could also vary from one to another. So it is now what you need to do is to individualize the particular child, understand the need of that child, and actually do it. But amazingly, yes, they have delayed development, but they also have some exceptional qualities. All you just need to do is just take out time. Let's take, for example, you have a child who is having the normal chromosome, maybe at 6 years, or maybe at 4 months or thereabout, the child is already maybe sitting down. At 1 year, the child is walking. You will see that the child with the Down syndrome, maybe even at 9 months, is not even sitting properly. Even at 1 year, 2 years, he has even started walking. You could see some children maybe at 3 years, they are already talking, trying to make some statement. But you could see a child with Down syndrome, maybe at 6 years, he has not even gotten to that point of being able to communicate fluently. So you now realize that as a parent or as a caregiver, you now need to pay attention to that child, be patient with that child, understand the need of that child, and begin to do what you need to do to support that child. No doubt that it could be stressful. It could be stressful, but we just have to understand and move on with it. Yes.
Okay, now, doctor, you pointed out that this is more like a chromosome issue. It doesn't have any. It's not a disease to start with. So, what are the symptoms that people can look up to say, okay, it's like this child is having a Down syndrome? Since it cannot be diagnosed in any way from what you just said. What are those symptoms? And if, for example, we notice those symptoms, do we have any preventive measures to make sure that something like that, doesn't really happen?
Trying to prevent Down syndrome is something that I would say is almost impossible, because at the point where it's going to occur, you would not even know. But at best, there are some features we could actually look at. But again, children grow. Children grow, and as they grow, there are some things you expect from them. So that's why every mother should pay attention to, not just the mothers, even the fathers also pay attention to their children to see that there are milestones that are expected at a particular age. If the child is not achieving that milestone at that particular age, then you could take the child for medical checks until you can actually get it. Yes, we could have the flat face. We could have the flat face, but it doesn't also mean that everybody that has flat face is actually having a Down syndrome. Yes, it could have the short stature, but that also translates to that everybody that has a short stature has Down syndrome. That's why somehow on the TV like this, we are kind of careful to mention some features to avoid issue of stigma, because when you now see some people, you begin to say, oh, this person has Down syndrome based on what this doctor said. But if you suspect that your child is not achieving the needed milestone that the child needs to achieve, you take that child to the hospital, and the child will be assessed to tell you, okay, these are some of the features that we have observed. I, as a medical doctor, there are some kids I would see, looking at them facially, I should be able to tell you, oh, probably this child has some features of Down syndrome. But I'm careful because of stigma, because it's not everybody that actually understands. Some of us start not just seeing this person, because some persons will also have that feature, but it does not translate that they have the Down syndrome.
All right, doctor, I want to ask, are there any medical interventions to take care of children with Down syndrome? Are there any surgeries at the early life that can be done, or are there any plans in the future in the medical field to arrest this situation?
Research will be in place to see to what we could actually do, but most things that have to do with genetics are things that comes up from when the child was at the formation stage of that child, and many of them you cannot actually detect them to say, okay, let's make this correction at the point where the chromosome was the additional chromosome was being formed to now make 47. If you know, you could say, okay, let us delete that particular, but it is not like that. You also have some other syndrome wherein instead of 46, you're now having 45 and stuff like that. But for Down syndrome, is 47. So there is no intervention known now that we can actually do to say, okay, to prevent it or probably nip it at the bud of where it is being formed. However, like I said, apart from that a short stature, of course, you're not able to do anything to increase the of that child. Some may have other deformity, other defects, like maybe it could be a problem with the heart. So it is those other defects, because if we detect that this child has Down syndrome, there will be a comprehensive screening to see if there are other medical conditions or medical defects that are there. And so those are the things we begin to manage from time to time. But to say there will be a surgery to correct Down syndrome, that's not off at the moment.
Okay, doctor, yesterday, earlier I talked about it. I had this argument to someone. I was trying to tell the person that Down syndrome is different from CP, that's cerebral palsy, and even autism and all that. But this person kept on saying, no, it doesn't, it was quite an argument. Now, please, can you help us, tell us the difference? What are the differences between CP, Down syndrome, and autism?
Cerebral palsy, when we talk about cerebral, it has to do with the brain, and the brain, every part of the body is represented in the brain, So your eyes, your mouth, everything about you is in the brain. So whatever thing that happens to any part of your body takes a signal to the brain, and the brain kind of gives feedback on what reaction should go on. So for cerebral palsy, probably maybe at birth, probably the child could have suffered some like what we call asphyxia, maybe inadequate oxygen supply to the brain at a particular time. So some part of the brain could be damaged, So when that part damages, the part of that, the damaged part of the brain, it means that the signal would have sent to the area is controlling will definitely be off. So it's not the same thing as cerebral palsy. For Down syndrome, the brain is not damaged, but that the brain is not developing at the rate at which others are actually, the brain should have developed. So there's kind of a delay. So if the brain, the child is a year old, the brain development could be at 6 months. So we have that delay. The same thing also go for autism. Autism, yes, you have the children not talking and so many other things. It's also different from Down syndrome in the sense that, yes, that child cannot talk because of delayed development, not because there is a defect somewhere that is making that child not to talk. If you are patient with a child with the Down syndrome, as the development is coming, that child will be meeting up with that responsibility or that expectation or that milestone that is expected of that child at that point in time. So that's why I will still emphasize we need to be patient. If a Down syndrome child is 10 years old, don't expect a 10 years attitude or behavior or development from that child. That child could be 10 years old in terms of age, but the child could be 6 years in terms of development. So you have to be patient. So if you look at a child, say, oh, you are 10 years old, I shouldn't be teaching you this. For the child with a Down syndrome, you have to understand that, oh, you still need to what? Teach this child and show love, show empathy, and ensure that you are helping that child to develop. Yes, the child could see the other children of his or her age doing some certain things. Obviously, it will be kind of painful and disturbing to that child. So we don't need to worsen the situation. All we just need to do is whatever gap that we are seeing with the child at that point in time, let's do the best we can to close it.
All right, before we let you go, you've been talking about stigmatization. So I would just like you to drop one word for the people who are taking care of, children with Down syndrome. Can you just give them a word of advice? Because like Chidima Chukwu rightly said, a child was abandoned because this child has Down syndrome. We've also heard about how parents will take their children, bound them, tie their hands and legs to churches to cast out the demon that made them to be the way they are. So please, we need you as a medical doctor just to give a word of advice to the people who have 1 or 2 children with Down syndrome.
So first, to the caregivers, whether you are the biological mother or the child has been put in your care, first of all, we want to appreciate you for being able to have that patience and tolerance. Again, it's demanding. Chidima just mentioned that she has to stop her work and some other things just to care for that child. It is actually demanding. So we encourage self-care. As you are caring for the child, you need to be strong to also take care of that child. So on your own, you also need to do some medical checks and also follow some advice that would keep you going. So that's for those who are caring for those with children with Down syndrome. And again, also take out time to read materials. You can also be in support group. You also have some other mothers, some other parents or caregivers who also take care of the child, of the Down syndrome children. So what you also do in such gathering is you share experience, you share ideas, you learn, and at the end of the day, it will help you to strengthen the effort that you are putting in place, and it will help you to also address some misinformation. Like a particular one is, oh, they die or whatever. It is because people stigmatize them. People don't care for them. They treat them shabbily. If you go on the street, you could see some of them. The parents have just kind of abandoned them, so they grow on the street and so on. So you think maybe they are mentally derailed. They are not actually mentally derailed. It's just that they have the Down syndrome. So we need to show support for them. Then to us who are lucky to not to have children with Down syndrome or wherever, we are fortunate kind of to have children without Down syndrome. Let's give support. Let's give support to parents or caregivers who are taking care of children with Down syndrome. Don't stigmatize them. Don't insult them. Don't tell them words. Don't blame them. Don't blame them because it is not their fault. They don't know what happened and what led to it. Rather, get more information and see to how much you can support them. If you don't have any information, just keep mute.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wright.
they need our support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, let's bring it back to the studio now. Ms. Chidima Chuku, can you tell us how you've, if you have some challenges you faced taking care of your 2 children, and how are you able to navigate it? How do you still stand strong?
And what support are you getting? Are you getting support from anybody, anywhere?
Okay, if I get the question correct. Okay, for now, I'm not getting support from government. Our government doesn't even know things like this exist. I'm not sure, because for we that have special needs children, we don't get any support from government. Most of the supports we get are from individuals, maybe friends, family. That's the supports we get. So for the second question, can you come
I was
again?
asking about the challenges the society must have thrown at you, maybe stigmatization and all that, and how are you able to navigate all this still being strong?
Because of the way people treat us, I have to stop going to church, because taking these children to church, before I brought my second son, taking my son to church is like you want to go and develop high BP. Because people, when you enter, people will start seeing you as if you are a sinner because you've been committing sin. That's why God gave you a child like this. And parents also try taking their children off you. They don't allow their children come close to you, because they are afraid that if your child touch the child, their children might be like that. So they just don't want their children to come close to you at all. So that's just one of the problems. Or even when we enter inside bus, if I'm taking my son to therapy, no matter how broke I am, I have to look for money to order Uber or taxi, because if I enter public transport, I will be so afraid, and I'll feel like an outcast. So I don't even like entering public transport. People look at me somehow.
So how are you able to keep on being strong, or despite the challenges we're facing with a child?
Because I love my child so much. Like, I love him so much. So I don't care what they say. What matters is the way I love him.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a mother's love. Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate it. So can you give just to other parents or caregivers out there we know who have someone who is having a challenge or another, what do you have to tell them? In less than 1 minute.
Just love your child. The bone of contention here is to love your child, and that's it. Once you love your child, there is nothing anybody can do to you that will move you.
Interesting. Quite a touching one. We've been speaking with Ms. Chidima Chuku, who we told you earlier happens to be a mother of 2 special needs children. And also from our Benin studios, we also listened to Dr. Wright Onovukuko. He walked us through the medical aspect of children with Down syndrome, how to take care of them. For now, we said researches are ongoing for them to know if they can find a way for prevention and all that. Thank you so much for being part of today's show. We sincerely appreciate. Thank you, Ms. Chidima Chuku.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wright Onovukuko, for being part of today's show. And we'll go on a quick break, and when we'll come back, it will be time for Trend. Stay tuned on the Morning Buzz and Voice of the People television.
From the views on the street
We go to bed empty hunger.
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lawn.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space. Exposing the
March 21st, 2025 marks World Down Syndrome Day, a global celebration of the lives and contributions of people with Down syndrome, with the theme, Improve Our Support System, improve our support system. Down Syndrome International is calling on all governments, self-advocates, and other experts to speak up about support systems and everything that needs to be improved for persons with Down syndrome. Today, we are honored to share the stories, lessons, and triumphs of individuals with Down syndrome.
Hello, my name is Oloma Ojo Beth. I am beautiful. I am living with that syndrome. People think I cannot do anything, but I can. I'm learning how to make hair. I can help mommy in the kitchen.
There is so much to be learned from people with Down syndrome and some insights into their reality.
When you're working with children living with Down syndrome, perfection is not what we look out for. It's like a little drop of water that we keep pouring every day. Consistency is the key. And so when you also look at them every day, you should be able to see within their eyes, they have love, they are very strengths.
It's not the fault of the mother or the father of any family member that has Down syndrome. Down syndrome is practically just an extra chromosome. Basically, we have 40.
Thank you so much. The Morning Buzz on VOP TV. It's time for the trends. And today, Bam Bam. Yes, if you ask me who is Bam Bam, don't worry, I will not tell you her full name, but she's also happened to be one of the persons that went for the Big Brother Naija, game show. And also, she is the lady that most Nigerians are talking about. Now, remember the film that was released by Omoni Oboli? We're talking about the Odogu and Chioma. Anyway, the reality TV star and actress recently shared a distress experience involving Nigerian police officers on her social media accounts. In a series of tweets dated March 20, 2025, she described being stopped by the officers without any justifiable reason and alleged that they compelled her to hand over money. Bam Bam emphasized that the officers' behavior was both inappropriate and forceful, highlighting the distinction between receiving tips in a respectful manner and aggressively demanding money from citizens. Her account has sparked conversation about the police conduct and the treatment they mete out on citizens, particularly in relation to corruption practices. Bam Bam's experience resonates with many who have faced similar situations, prompting discussions about the need for reform and accountability within law enforcement agencies in Nigeria. It's not the first time that, one celebrity or another, TV star or another will come up to tell Nigerians, we have this issue, the police stopped me, blah, blah, blah. The other time it was Shore that made a video and said...
He was actually on his way to VOP.
Imagine.
And that's it, there at the airport road.
And they stopped him. And then he, there was a video and all that. Then there was an invitation to come to Abuja, and before you know what's happening, small talk, he was detained.
The thing
he
is
have to be bailed.
It's even more worse when somebody tells you it's either from so field. For me as a press man, I've been in a situation where I told them that I'm a press man. They were saying, and so what? That you are the people who go about reporting us and telling stories of how we are not really doing our job and so on and so forth. I've seen a situation where whether the policeman was drunk, he was actually almost going to cock his gun and started shouting on top of his voice, looking frustrated and showing signs of someone who was under the influence of drug abuse, And I was pretty worried because actually it was a friend of mine who was driving. He was actually a youth corper then. And he was driving a very new car. The parents could afford to give him a brand new car. And they felt these people are either fraudsters. And to say how funny it is, he was actually on a corper uniform. He was actually dressed as a youth corper. And me, I was with my press ID card. This guy didn't want to listen. They were angry and frustrated enough to, You know, they're talking about the way these guys appear and bring themselves. The thing is that how much are you willing to sacrifice your decency for? At the end of the day, maybe you get 2,000 or 3,000.
As if it's get to...
Except to where they will even threaten you and take you to your POS or the ATM machine to withdraw money. It's pretty insane that in 2025, we've had series of situations where the police have had increased welfare. Let's not say it's worse as it used to be 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. Their promotion is now different. Their pay is now better than it was. Their welfare is now better than where it was coming from. But still yet, we still find a lot of bad eggs in the police. We still find a system that encouraged them to collect as little as 200 naira. I think it's a shame. And I think the IG, it looks like we keep cycling around this situation that next year somebody is still going to complain about being harassed by the police, about the police still collecting bribe from them. It means that nobody is listening and taking the appropriate action. Everybody has accepted that the police has a right to be corrupt, to be dirty, to be haggard, to have no sense of decorum. And what about the rules of engagement? Is really, really appalling. And we still have a situation where police still carry AK-47 around, brandishing high weapons that could... We've seen accidental discharge. We've seen a lot of things. What is really happening with the Police Service Commission in creating decency? What is happening with the government in making sure that the police meets the standard as required? It's pretty sad. You
know that line that always tell you every time, police is your friend. Do you remember that line? Police is your friend. And sometimes I'll ask, how are you my friend, when you see me on the road and say, Roger, show me, find me something. Have you noticed that they don't care about...
You're lucky Mr. Anosike is not here to talk about the police.
I know.
Yes, he has...
Stop it, he shouldn't be here.
He has an opinion about the Nigerian police. He calls them, was it the devil? And he said that if any of his friend or member of the family is interested in joining the police, that he's going to ostracize the person.
No.
Really,
that shouldn't be the thing, because we have the good eggs. Yeah, we do. We have the good ones. We have the good ones. We have the good eggs. We have those who are actually living up to our expectation. But my problem is the fact that every time we have a new IGP, what we first hear is that no more roadblocks, no more indecent dressing. The other day he came up with another directive that police without their full gear, that without being kitted, should not carry guns and all that, but we'll still see them. The other, I saw a police guy some time ago putting on slippers. He's putting on slippers and he was carrying AK-47. And the first thing that came to my mind, imagine something happening. How is this man going to run? That jungle boots that you've been given to is there for a purpose. And then when you try to talk to them, they will ask you, look you from head to toe, who are you? Who are you to come up to tell us all this?
Funny enough, my father is a retired police officer.
Oh, congratulations.
I must say that it's really challenging even for the families of those who their parents are involved in terms of being a police officer or so on and so forth. Whether they're going to come and go and come back safely. Yeah. We've had relatives or friends, family friends who their father died in the course of the job and so on and so forth. There are a lot of dangers they're exposed to. We're talking about the police barracks, which is an eyesore.
Could that be the reason some of them, when you see them by the roadside, they will look that they're a bit intoxicated or frustrated?
Yeah, they're frustrated most of the time.
Someone said something about how, maybe, though I allegedly, because I've not really been able to get to the root of that, how DPOs send out the boys to go by the roadside to collect a certain amount of money because they will remit it back to a higher ranked person.
Even if somebody comes to the police and wants to make a change as far as collecting bribes and not collecting money for talking about bail, you'll be seen as the bad egg. You need to see you'll be ostracized amongst your colleagues.
So it's more like a tradition.
So you will be seen as the bad eggs, and you might even fall into a setup. You might even fall into a situation where your life is even in danger amongst your fellow colleagues.
That shows a cry where the tears we're shedding here in the studio is not going to yield anything good or any fruit at all, given the fact that it's more like it's coming from top to bottom.
Yeah, it's really, really sad.
Interesting. Always saying, please, Nigerian police force, You people have been saddled with the responsibility to protect lives and property of this country, of the citizens of this country. So it's an insult to me as a Nigerian to every day wake up to get a story of how Nigerian policemen are now forcing people to give them money. In the words of Bam Bam, say there's a difference between giving you a tip and you forcing me to give you that tip. Please, IGP, call your boys to order, do the needful, okay? Because Nigeria is a great nation, Nigeria.
And the IG should consider the welfare of the police. I want a situation where they'll be well taken care of so that they will have no excuse to go into bribery and corruption. Yeah. Why is the army not doing it? Why is the Navy not doing it? Why is the Air Force not doing it?
Don't even go there, because if we start talking about it, they will break here.
At least the city better, well...
People that also have, you know, there's some places in the southeast, for example, that the army have their roadblocks and they have a certain amount of money that you must pay for.
The barracks is better than the police barracks.
Anyway, here's where we draw the curtain. Here's how we end today's Morning Boys on Voice of the People television. I will encourage us to continue to be a patriotic citizen, no matter what happens, no matter the challenge you're facing. Try your best to be a good citizen. I am Fina Okechukwu.
And I'm Jerry Ompeyon.